Dual lasers? This thing must be bright. Today, we're going to talk about Optoma's new flagship projector that released earlier in March 2025, and it's the HC Pro 4400. This thing comes stacked with a ton of features, so I wanted to go through some of it. I don't feel like it's been talked about in many places. It feels like it's sliding in there with all the talk about JVC projectors, Epson projectors, and Sony projectors. I feel like there's always an opportunity for other companies to kind of come into the game where they're flagship projectors and see how they stack up against others. Now, this is all on paper, right? There will be reviews as the units go out to different reviewers to look at and measure. And at that point, you can actually make a better judgment on the unit. I just kind of wanted to bring awareness. I thought it was pretty cool. This thing punches at 5,000 lumens. It is Dolby Vision. It has HDR10 Plus in Filmmaker mode, which I believe it comes out either later in Q2 or Q3, which I think is going to be the big winner there. So let's go ahead and jump on the computer and you can follow me as I kind of walk through it. Again, this is just on paper, kind of getting the word out. Maybe it's a great projector. Maybe it'll fall flat on his face. I don't know until it's reviewed. But again, I think it's got enough going for it to warrant at least a video on it. So here's the HC Pro 4400. Now, what does this have that's a little bit different than other projectors out there? And I'm going to say probably the 5,000 lumens, it's pretty high up there. I don't think I've seen one. Even the Epson LS QB1000, which is would be a comparable projector to the QB1000, the Sony ES5000, likely the JVC NZ500. So this is actually pretty high up there. I don't think I've seen. Maybe that's what probably gives it a little bit of the extra punch to be able to have the Dolby Vision, trademark on this. It's promising 95% DCI-P3. It comes with a pure engine and powered by Dolby Vision and HDR10 Plus. I think that's the cool part. I wouldn't mind having a Dolby Vision projector. Granted, I don't think I've missed it because I don't know what I'm missing in a projector wise when it comes to that. But I think they're finally doing something a little bit different here. And then it's got Filmmaker mode. So one thing that maybe a little bit, and you have to wait for it, it's that Filmmaker mode. Meaning, if I'm correct here, you're kind of getting a little bit more of that smooth interpolation between frames, more of that soap opera effect, which I completely dislike. As a filmmaker and as a guy who loves movies, I like to see my movies at 24p. They may have some judder, but that's just me. I like movies to be what they are and look like films look. So that would be a feature that I would be like, listen, I'm not going to get this unless it has this feature on here. And as we scroll down, again, you got your Dolby Vision, HDR10 Plus. It's all marketing photos. Again, this is beautiful on paper. Everybody promises the world, and until it actually comes out and is reviewed, like without it. Which projector nowadays comes without a nice looking image? You tell me. But anyways, it's here as part of their marketing. This is the Filmmaker mode we talked about here. Again, if I'm going to watch a movie, I want it to feel the same way it did when I went to the commercial cinemas to see a film. I don't want it to look like a soap opera. I don't want it to look any differently. That's my opinion. It's subjective. Everybody loves their movies, I guess, differently, but it's one thing that really doesn't stand out to me. Whenever you can make it really smooth between frames, I like my film feeling 24p, 24 frames a second feeling on a film. So that's a must for me. Really, everything else is pretty much standard on here. It does have lens shift. It'll have, it has a zoom. I have a CinemaScope screen, and it wouldn't work out 100% for me because I do have lens memory in my Epson LS12000. This thing has manual lens adjustments in regards to your zoom and your focus. And I would have to go up to the ceiling whenever I wanted to change aspect ratios for this to work for me. So if I have a 16:9 projector screen, then it really wouldn't affect me at all. You set it up once, you move. That's why, the Sony 5000 ES, I believe, is also the same way. It doesn't have, it's manual controls. But I think at this price point, and I should have started off with this projector is retailed at $6,000, $5,999. At that price, Epson's been including this in projectors way cheaper than that for a very long time. I think that's a miss on their end, unless they're planning to, on their 3-year mark point where they release the next upgraded projector, that's their future that they're going to add on to it and whatever. But that's a point that is, but that's a missed opportunity, I think, for Optoma there. And let's look at some of the specs here, right? This thing is rated at, again, it's a DLP projector, a DLP chip, and I believe it's their larger chip. It may help a little bit in contrast. This thing calls out saying it's got contrast ratio of 3.2 million to 1. That's all dynamic. That means nothing. It'd be interesting to see how this actually measures out in real life with native contrast. Whether it's 2001, is it 3001? That's really what counts to me, not necessarily this 3.2 or infinity and beyond, whatever it may say. They're rating it at 30,000 hours. The laser, again, you get dual lasers on here. The zoom type manual, that really just, I wish it was motorized, but it's not in this case. It seems like a pretty quiet projector at 31 dB. That's not really too bad, depending where you have it. If you're sitting really close to it, obviously, I don't care what you've got, you're likely going to hear something. But overall, I think that's not a bad dB rating as a whole. There aren't many projector reviews on this. I believe Projector Screen blog will be putting out its review on this unit. They have a unit that they're going to review. It should come out any minute now. I would say in the next couple of days. Guys, and I'm going to leave a link to Project Screen, because if you're really interested in a projector like this, you probably want to see what the review looks like. And what you're going to look for when you go to Projector Screen, you're going to look for the actual data. What does it actually say in terms of when it's calibrated, how many lumens is actually spit out? What is the actual contrast? What's the actual coverage on DCI-P3? Obviously, it'll probably go above 100% on the Rec 709. And those are the things you're going to look for. I have a completely dark room, and everybody's room is very different. So is this something that if you calibrate this and it goes down to 3,000 lumens, hey, I've got 2,700 lumens, and I'm using it in dynamic mode with my Epson LS12000, and it is plenty bright in my room. But man, 5,000, when HDR comes around, I think that's a favorable number to have when you're trying to get a nice HDR image in your screen. One of the things too that I'm kind of interested in looking at is they released the European version of this projector. I believe it's the same projector, the UHZ916, that probably came out a little bit later last year. The reviews, actually I didn't see many reviews. I saw a few measurements that were taken. I believe when it's calibrated, that light lumen output really drops quite a bit. So again, I'm interested to see what happens here with the reviews as they're sent out to be tested in different places for different reviewers. I thought it'd be interesting. Again, guys, this is a dual laser. They're finally stepping up the lumens on some of these. You usually get 5,000 lumens anywhere else will cost a pretty penny. At $6,000, I thought it was pretty decent. The only thing is missing on here, for me, that would be more of a deal breaker, would be that lens, motorized zoom, and focus. The motorized zoom would be something that I would definitely want to have. I think this has a flap at the top of the projector that opens up and you're able to adjust as needed. Again, more likely for a primary setup if you got a 16:9, but if you got a cinema scope screen, it just may not make a ton of sense for you. Guys, that was a quick short video. Again, just trying to introduce new products to the home theater community as a whole. I think we get, again, bogged down with that JVC, Epson, Sony, and there are a lot of other projectors out there that are doing really well. The Valerian projectors are doing phenomenal. They're getting great reviews everywhere. And they've got the Max coming out here next month. That's something that'll probably take the internet by storm again. And if the other ones are doing pretty well, I would assume the Max will be even better. There are other projectors out there, guys. Just keep your mind open, do your research. And if you enjoyed this video, guys, make sure you subscribe and like the video. Leave a comment down below if you got any questions. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video.